Prime Minister has condemned a decision to ban Israeli football fans from coming to an Aston Villa match next month.
The Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have been stopped over fears police wouldn't be able to handle potential protests. So the Prime Minister has said that the move is wrong. Well, joining us now from Edinburgh is Digital Government and Data Minister Ian Murray. Mr Murray, I know you've got important things to talk about, digital ID cards, but if we can come to this as our Government Minister this morning first, how does it make you feel that the police feel they have the need to do this and that the Prime Minister seemingly isn't able to keep his promise for Jewish people to be safe and feel safe on the streets or indeed in our football stands?
I think that's the whole point of why the Prime Minister is so angry about the decision that has been made. He's said quite clearly it's the wrong decision. I think all senior politicians have said exactly the same thing, and I think it sends out the wrong message to both Aston Villa and Birmingham and the fans, but also to the wider society, that we will ban people from attending public events like football matches, concerts or festivals in this country based on their nationality, race or religion. That's the wrong thing, and the Prime Minister's very clear that this match should go ahead with fans in attendance.
But police have a job to do. It's their responsibility not just to have the ambition of safety, but to keep people safe. And if they feel it's not possible and they've made this move, then surely it's not their fault. It's the climate and the power that the government needs to take to make it happen.
Well, I don't think anybody is suggesting it's anyone's fault, but the bottom line here is that this doesn't help any of the difficult climate that's currently engulfing the country. The Prime Minister has been very clear that we need to stamp out anti-Semitism and racism in any forms.
I think you're misunderstanding the question. The Prime Minister says, we're not having this. I want Jewish people to feel, after the events of a fortnight ago, to feel safe and be safe. If the police have to do this, then the Prime Minister has failed in that promise.
Well, I think if the police have to do this, what we have failed in is keeping people safe and allowing people, regardless of their race, religion or nationality, to attend public events. So there is a contradiction here in terms of trying to resolve the issues in society about anti-Semitism and indeed saying that people who are, in this case, Jewish or from Israel can't attend this football match. So this is why the Prime Minister's taken the view that he has, and the government's taken the view that this is the wrong decision and has to be resolved positively, because it sends out the wrong message to the entirety of the country that we are going to start banning people based on who they are from attending public events because we can't keep them safe. That is the wrong place for the society to be, and I think most people in the country will be abhorred that this is where we've ended up.
So you would agree, would you not, that this is appeasing extremism? The criticism, Minister, is that for a very long time, a number of the marches, a lot of which was legitimate criticism of Israel, included slogans and created a hostile and unsafe space for Jewish people to be. Many Jews around our shared country, this tiny minority, will see this, as will lots of the great British public, many in your constituency, as a victory for that extremism. Now, I wonder whether you agree with that.
Well, and I think that's why the Prime Minister's saying that this is the wrong decision, because it sends out the wrong message of where we are. We should not be folding to that kind of extremism. But we very much, the government, know that people have the right to protest. We encourage that to be the case. We live in a free society where people are able to express themselves freely within the bounds of the law, of course, and the police manage that all the time. The police have been managing difficult, high-level, high-security football matches and other events for generations, and we need to encourage them to find a way through this to make sure that this game can go ahead with the fans in attendance. But the much wider issue that you're alluding to here is because that we've ended up in a situation whereby we have become intolerant to other people's views, and we need to make sure that we're protecting those in society of whatever religion and nationality and background that they have, and this sends out the wrong message that we're not doing that. And I think the Prime Minister is right to suggest that we should be finding a way through this to make sure that we don't make this decision.
It's a question of safety, and this has happened because the police don't either have the resources, the capacity or the will in order to protect Israeli and Jewish fans from coming to a straightforward football game. And that has happened not under any other party, but under Starmer's Britain and under your party. And that's the criticism that's levied at you. How do you respond when you say enough has been done?
Well, I think posing the question in that way shows the problem that we have in this country at the moment. The vast majority of people in the country, reasonable people in this country, will realise that this is the wrong decision, sends out the wrong message. The Prime Minister has been very clear time and time again that we want to stamp out anti-Semitism in this country. We want to stamp out all forms of discrimination in this country. We're a very tolerant nation, and we seem to be losing the thread on that as a nation. And this sends out the wrong message, which is why this game should go ahead with both sets of fans and why the Prime Minister's taken such a hard line on it.
Well, we hear what he says now. You're here to talk about digital ID. There's one issue I want to bring up with you before we come to it, which is the situation in China. Part of your portfolio, your job, is to deal with cultural diplomacy and soft power. That includes a relationship with the UK and China. Now, just to be clear, this prosecution has collapsed. The reason for that, and for the prosecution to have survived, what needed to happen was the government needed to provide a statement saying that China was and these are very specific words, a hostile threat. The Deputy Security Advisor, on 3 separate occasions, did not use that language. Very simple question, because this is going to come into Parliament in due course under scrutiny. If any government minister interfered, affected or tried to influence that language not being used in order to protect our relationship with China, would you agree that if such a minister did that and said, don't use that language, that minister should resign?
Well, the Prime Minister has been very clear about this, and I can be very clear about this with you this morning, that no government minister has interfered in the witness statements in that process. This all took place under the previous government, and the reason that we're in this position we're in today is because we were using 1911 Official Secrets Act legislation, 100-year-old legislation, to prosecute these 2 individuals. That was all done under the previous government. They set up a review of that Official Secrets Act from 1911 in 2015. It took them 8 years to get anywhere in terms of modernising it to make sure we didn't have to use the kind of language that is the burden of proof in that particular piece of legislation, and they only passed that after these charges were laid. So that charges for these 2 individuals are laid under the legislation at the time the offences took place under the previous government. And of the 3 witness statements that the Prime Minister rather unprecedentedly produced into the public domain this week to show the transparency, have not changed between the 3 different witness statements. But the previous government have to answer, if the previous Conservative government have to answer, whether or not they interfered with any of those witness statements, because it happened under their watch, under their legislation and under their time in government.
Now, digital ID cards for veterans. Is it the thin end of the wedge? Are you pushing through ID cards for all of us? And how will having them improve lives of veterans?
Well, this project was in place well before the Prime Minister's policy announcement a few weeks ago for digital ID. There's 1.8 million veterans in the United Kingdom. 300,000 of those veterans already carry a physical veterans card. This is about digitising that, trying to get more of those 1.8 million veterans using it, to give them seamless access to both public services, to charitable organisations that look after veterans, and to the many discounts that the veterans card allow veterans to access. So it's about making sure that process is seamless, giving them a quicker access, but also giving it them on their phone so they can access that and get access to those services in a seamless way. So it's very much a similar principle to the digital ID proposals that are being put in place, but this is not a forerunner, but about making sure that veterans can have those access to those services in the way in which they deserve.
And also, is this a trial run for a big rollout for digital ID for everybody?
Well, it's not a trial run in that sense, but the infrastructure is the same. It's based on the one login, which is one login and password for any government services. There's almost 12 million users on that particular system already. That gives you much better access because you don't have to remember a username and password for each individual government service that you may wish to use. The Veterans Card is part of that process. You go through the one login. You get that then on your phone when the Ministry of Defence confirm that the person is who they are and they are, in fact,
so this is not going to mean ID...
So the system is very much secure.
Right, doesn't mean ID cards for everybody, is I think what you're saying. Thank you very much, Minister.
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.